So right now we're set up, it's just mocked up, but we're set up to check our lifter preload. These can be kind of difficult. These are real tricky. You can see these are stamped. These rocker arms are stamped, and you have a little bit of inconsistency in the, you got kind of a ridge right there. So they can be kind of tough. The most important thing that I found on these was make sure that you are straight on 90 degrees, not 90 degrees, but straight on with the push rod. So your travel of your probe on your dial indicator is going to be going straight and square with the push rod travel. I mean, I don't know how critical that is, but it's probably somewhat important. Anyway, so the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to torque that head on there without push rods. I'm going to put it together, put every bolt. I'm going to put those bolts in it. This one is an uh, early engine in a late truck, but make sure I have my upper bolts in. These aren't in, but I'm going to have the head completely torqued on there. Then what I'm going to do in the case of cylinder number two here, the intakes and the exhaust on cylinder number eight just have a single on the bridge. I just have a single rocker arm. So what I'm going to do, camshafts on the base circle for this cylinder. I'm going to take my nut off, take that off, detorque this. I'm going to put my push rod in. Then I'm going to run this bolt down, pretty close. And then I'm going to run this nut down. And nice, this has a fine thread, so a little bit of movement doesn't make a lot of difference. It does if you try to use that bolt there. So I just run that down close and don't worry about it. So you can't get your finger back there. And I mean, maybe some little kid could or something, but you're going to, how I determine zero lash is I'm using the end of the rocker arm, you know, and tightening that nut down until I determine that I'm at zero lash. Then I'm going to put, have my dial indicator on there straight, like I told you. I'm going to zero it out. I'm going to torque my stud down. Where's it at? Right there. Torque that down. And then I'm going to torque this down. And this will affect your preload too, believe it or not. I mean, you're putting 210 pounds on here, especially on these bridges here. This will change 2 to 3 thousandths, when you torque these down, these two bolts here. That plate actually flexes. You wouldn't think so because it's a big heavy piece, but we're talking thousandths of an inch here. Anyway, that's going to give me my push rod preload. And the last one I did, the Johnson lifters, they had a spec of 35 plus or minus 10 on a stock engine with stock lifters. I'm going to be shooting for about 60 thousandths, right in that range. And that's a good number for those. It's a hell of a lot better than 100 to 120 thousandths. So anyway, that's how you do that. A little bit of an art form. Generally, I'm going to go through. I'm going to measure out all my push rods and separate them. So I have some long ones, and I may have to miss and match or mix and match a little bit if I want consistency. And that's kind of what I'm going for here. I want to keep it consistent, as possible. So I didn't have much option on the last engine. My push rods only varied from it was only 2 thousandths of an inch difference between the two longest ones, and then most of them were all pretty much the same. So I had two longer ones, and it did come in handy. But we were just talking thousandths of an inch, 2 thousandths of an inch. So anyway, it was somebody did the math. Whoever uh, sent those push rods with those lifters, they were basing it off of the stock nominal thickness of a 6 liter cylinder head, and those were a little bit thicker, but it worked out. I was in spec, and they were fairly damn consistent, so I was happy with it. But anyway, that's how you do that. Pain in the ass, but so is clay on the top of the pistons to check your piston to valve clearance when you do an aftermarket camshaft. So um, takes a little bit more time, but like I said, if you want to do it professionally, that's how you do it.